Life throws challenges our way, doesn't it? Picture this. You wake up one morning and everything feels heavy. The world seems to conspire against you. But here's the truth. What if I told you that you hold the power to change your narrative? Each moment, every choice, is a stepping stone toward your destiny. Think about it. How often do we slip into the victim mentality, blaming circumstances, people, or even fate? It's comfortable, isn't it? But that comfort comes at a cost. The moment you realize that you are not just a player in this game, but the one holding the controller, everything shifts. Imagine taking full ownership of your life. What would that look like for you? A world where you are the architect of your journey, where every setback becomes a lesson, not a chain. Can you feel the weight lifting? Let's explore this together. This isn't just a philosophy, it's a call to arms. It's about stepping into your power, breaking free of those invisible chains. Are you ready to redefine your story? Buckle up, because this journey is about to get real. If you're looking for more emotional balance, clarity in decision-making, and want to learn how to handle life better, this content is for you. So go ahead and leave a like and subscribe to the channel, because with each video you'll grow stronger on the inside and see life with greater wisdom. Self-knowledge and personal responsibility. Understanding my own emotions and reactions has been a journey that has transformed my life. For a long time, I found myself reacting to situations without fully grasping why I was feeling a certain way. It was like living in a fog, where my emotions dictated my actions, leaving me feeling out of control. But then I realized that self-knowledge is the first step toward personal responsibility. By taking the time to reflect on my feelings, I began to see patterns in my emotional responses. I started to connect my feelings to specific triggers in my environment or interactions with others. This awareness was liberating, allowing me to understand that I wasn't just a passive participant in my life. I was an active player who could choose how to respond. As I delved deeper into self-exploration, I recognized that my emotions were often telling me something important about myself. For instance, when I felt anger, it was usually a signal that my boundaries had been crossed. Instead of reacting impulsively, I learned to pause, take a breath, and ask myself what was really going on. This practice of self-inquiry shifted my perspective. I stopped seeing myself as a victim of my emotions, and instead, I started to view them as valuable information. This change in mindset empowered me to take responsibility for how I felt and, consequently, how I acted. Another critical aspect of self-knowledge is acknowledging my strengths and weaknesses. I used to shy away from my flaws, thinking that admitting them would somehow diminish my value. However, embracing my imperfections has been a game changer. I've learned to view my weaknesses not as failures, but as areas for growth. This mindset of self-acceptance encourages me to take responsibility not only for my successes but also for my shortcomings. It's a balanced approach that allows me to strive for improvement while being kind to myself along the way. In addition, understanding my emotional triggers has helped me cultivate healthier relationships. I used to project my feelings onto others, expecting them to be responsible for my happiness. But through self-knowledge, I realized that my happiness is my responsibility. This realization led to open conversations with friends and family about my feelings and needs. I no longer wait for someone to guess what I'm feeling. I communicate openly, which fosters deeper connections built on understanding and respect. Ultimately, the journey of self-knowledge is ongoing. It requires patience and continuous reflection. I've learned that the more I understand myself, the more equipped I am to navigate life's challenges. I no longer shy away from my emotions. Instead, I embrace them as part of my unique journey. This commitment to self-understanding has been the foundation of my personal responsibility, allowing me to live a more intentional and fulfilling life. Growth mindset. Adopting a growth mindset has been one of the most empowering shifts I've experienced. Initially, I viewed challenges as obstacles to avoid, fearing failure and judgment. But over time, I learned to reframe my perspective. Each setback became an opportunity for learning, and I realized that growth often comes from discomfort. This shift in mindset has made me more resilient and adaptable in the face of life's inevitable struggles. When I started viewing learning as a lifelong journey, my approach to challenges transformed. Instead of seeing myself as a victim of circumstance, I began to see myself as an active participant in my development. For example, when I faced difficulties at work, I no longer felt defeated. Instead, I asked myself, what can I learn from this experience? This simple question opened doors to new skills and insights that I would have otherwise overlooked. I started seeking feedback and embracing constructive criticism, knowing that it was a crucial part of my growth process. Moreover, a growth mindset has allowed me to celebrate the success of others rather than feeling threatened by it. I used to compare myself to my peers, often spiraling into feelings of inadequacy. However, I learned that someone else's success does not diminish my potential. Instead, it serves as inspiration. I began to view others as allies in my journey rather than competitors. This shift has not only enriched my relationships but also created a supportive network where we can share resources and encouragement. I also discovered that adopting a growth mindset is essential in overcoming the fear of failure. I used to avoid risks, paralyzed by the thought of not measuring up. But I now understand that failure is often a stepping stone to success. By reframing failure as feedback, I've become more willing to take calculated risks. I remind myself that every successful person has faced their share of failures, and it's through those experiences that they've learned and grown. This realization has opened new doors for me, pushing me out of my comfort zone and into opportunities one never would have considered before. Finally, cultivating a growth mindset is not just a personal endeavor. It's also about fostering an environment that encourages learning and development. I've taken steps to surround myself with people who share this mindset. We actively discuss our goals, challenges, and lessons learned, creating a community that thrives on growth. This collective energy propels us forward, reminding us that we're all in this journey together. Embracing a growth mindset has truly transformed my approach to life, allowing me to embrace challenges, learn from failures, and celebrate successes, both mine and others. Impact of limiting beliefs. The impact of limiting beliefs on my life has been profound, often acting as invisible chains that held me back. For years, I carried beliefs that I wasn't good enough, smart enough, or deserving of success. These thoughts shaped my self-perception and influenced every decision I made. I often found myself playing the role of a victim, feeling trapped in a cycle of self-doubt. It became clear to me that these beliefs were not just thoughts, they were barriers that hindered my growth and happiness. Recognizing the presence of these limiting beliefs was the first step toward liberation. I began to question the validity of these thoughts. Where did they come from? Were they based on facts or simply assumptions I'd internalized over the years? This inquiry was eye-opening. I realized that many of my beliefs were rooted in past experiences or societal expectations rather than my true capabilities. By challenging these beliefs, I started to dismantle the narratives that had kept me feeling powerless. One of the most significant shifts occurred when I reframed my self-talk. Instead of saying, "I can't do this," I began to say, "I'm learning how to do this." This simple change made a world of difference. It shifted my focus from limitations to possibilities. I learned to replace negative affirmations with positive ones, fostering a mindset that encouraged growth and exploration. This practice didn't happen overnight, but with consistency, I noticed a gradual change in my confidence and willingness to take risks. Another crucial aspect of overcoming limiting beliefs is surrounding myself with positive influences. I realized that the people I spent time with greatly impacted my mindset. I began to seek out relationships with individuals who encouraged growth rather than those who reinforced my doubts. This shift in my social circle made it easier to challenge my limiting beliefs. I found myself in conversations that inspired me to think bigger and to believe in my potential. The support from others played a pivotal role in my journey toward self-empowerment. Ultimately, I've come to understand that limiting beliefs are not absolutes. They are merely perceptions that can be changed. The process of rewriting my internal narrative has been liberating. I've replaced feelings of victimhood with a sense of agency and possibility. This journey of unlearning and relearning has taught me that I am not defined by my past or my doubts. Instead, I am defined by my willingness to grow, to challenge myself, and to embrace the limitless potential that lies within me. The power of choice. The power of choice is something that has fundamentally changed my outlook on life. I once navigated through life feeling like a passive observer, as if circumstances were dictating my actions. However, I eventually realized that I hold the reins of my life through the choices I make. Taking ownership of my decisions has been liberating, allowing me to reclaim my narrative and steer my life in a direction that aligns with my values and aspirations. Every day presents us with a multitude of choices, big and small. I used to overlook the significance of these decisions, thinking that they were trivial. But I learned that even the smallest choices can have a ripple effect on my life. For instance, choosing to wake up a bit earlier to meditate has made a noticeable difference in my day. It sets a positive tone and empowers me to face challenges with a clearer mind. This realization has encouraged me to be more intentional about my choices, recognizing that they shape my experiences and overall well-being. Moreover, embracing the power of choice means taking responsibility for my outcomes. I used to blame external circumstances or other people for my unhappiness. However, I learned that my reactions to situations are what truly matter. By choosing how I respond to challenges, I create my reality. This shift in perspective has been a game changer. Instead of feeling like a victim of my circumstances, I now approach challenges with curiosity and a proactive mindset. I ask myself, what can I do to improve this situation? This question empowers me to take action rather than wallow in frustration. Additionally, understanding the power of choice has helped me prioritize my values. I've learned to align my decisions with what truly matters to me. For example, I used to say yes to every invitation or request, fearing that saying no would disappoint others. However, I realized that prioritizing my own well-being is not selfish, it's necessary. By choosing to say no when it doesn't align with my values, I create space for opportunities that resonate with my passions and aspirations. This clarity has not only enhanced my happiness but has also strengthened my relationships, as I engage more authentically with those around me. Ultimately, embracing the power of choice is about recognizing that I am the architect of my life. I have the ability to shape the influence of the environment. I've come to realize that the environment I find myself in plays a significant role in how I act and react to various situations. It's like when you walk into a room filled with sunlight and good vibes. It lifts your mood almost instantly. Conversely, stepping into a place that's dark or cluttered can bring you down. It's fascinating how our surroundings can shape our mindset. However, I've also learned that while my environment influences me, it doesn't dictate who I am or what I can achieve. For instance, I remember a time when I was stuck in a job where negativity was the norm. My colleagues often complained, and it was easy to get sucked into that mindset. But I had to remind myself that I wasn't just a product of my surroundings. I could choose to maintain a positive perspective, regardless of the atmosphere around me. This realization empowered me to focus more on my responses rather than allowing the environment to dictate my actions. I also started paying attention to the people I surrounded myself with. Positive influences are like breath of fresh air. They encourage growth and foster a sense of possibility. Conversely, being around negative people can be draining. It's essential to curate a circle that uplifts rather than weighs you down. I've found that this not only improves my mood but also enhances my productivity and creativity. Another aspect I've considered is how my environment affects my habits. For example, if I want to eat healthier, I make it a point to stock my kitchen with nutritious foods. By doing so, I'm setting myself up for success. It's about creating an environment that supports the person I want to become. This concept applies to various areas of life, including work, relationships, and personal growth. Ultimately, understanding the influence of my environment has been a game changer. I've learned to take responsibility for my choices and actions, regardless of external factors. While I can't control everything around me, I can control how I respond to it. This insight has helped me navigate challenges with a clearer perspective, leading to more fulfilling outcomes. Focus on solution. One of the most transformative shifts I've made in my life is moving from a problem-centric mindset to a solution-focused one. It's easy to get caught up in the problems that life throws our way. I used to dwell on what was wrong, spiraling into frustration and helplessness. But then I realized that this approach wasn't getting me anywhere. Instead, I started asking myself, what can I do to solve this? This shift in perspective has made a world of difference. For example, when faced with a challenging project at work, instead of fixating on the obstacles, I began to brainstorm solutions. I'd gather my team and we'd collaborate on ideas. This not only fostered a sense of teamwork but also made the process much more enjoyable. Focusing on solutions ignited a sense of creativity I didn't know I had. I've also noticed that a solution-oriented mindset helps reduce stress. When I encounter a setback, instead of panicking, I now take a deep breath and assess the situation. What are my options? What steps can I take to move forward? By concentrating on solutions, I feel more in control and less overwhelmed. It's empowering to know that I can take action instead of feeling like a victim of circumstance. Moreover, I've learned to celebrate small victories along the way. Each time I tackle a problem and find a solution, no matter how minor, it reinforces this new mindset. It's like building momentum. The more solutions I find, the more confident I become in my ability to handle challenges. This newfound confidence spills over into other areas of my life, creating a positive feedback loop. In conversations with friends and family, I've noticed that adopting a solution-focused approach encourages them to think similarly. When they come to me with a problem, I gently guide them to consider possible solutions rather than just venting about their frustrations. It's fulfilling to witness the shift not only in my life but also in the lives of those around me. The importance of self-efficacy. Self-efficacy is a term I've come to appreciate deeply. It refers to the belief in my own ability to influence events and outcomes in my life. For a long time, I didn't recognize how crucial this belief was. I often doubted myself, thinking that I had limited control over my circumstances. But once I began to embrace the idea of self-efficacy, everything changed. I remember a particularly challenging time at work when I had to lead a project that felt overwhelming. Initially, I thought I wasn't capable of handling it. But after some introspection, I realized that I had successfully managed similar projects before. I started to remind myself of my past achievements, and this boosted my confidence. With that belief in my capabilities, I tackled the project head-on, and it turned out to be one of my best performances. Self-efficacy also empowers me to take risks. I've learned that stepping out of my comfort zone is essential for growth. When I believe in my ability to handle challenges, I feel more inclined to pursue opportunities that scare me a bit. Whether it's public speaking or trying something new, I've found that embracing discomfort leads to growth. Additionally, self-efficacy has a profound impact on my resilience. When I encounter setbacks, I remind myself that I have the skills and determination to bounce back. Instead of feeling defeated, I see failures as learning experiences. This mindset shift has made me more adaptable and willing to embrace change. As I continue to cultivate my sense of self-efficacy, I notice how it affects my interactions with others. I encourage friends and family to believe in their capabilities too. It's rewarding to see them gain confidence and tackle challenges they once perceived as insurmountable. Together, we're creating a culture of empowerment, and I believe that's one of the most valuable gifts we can give each other. Resilience and overcoming challenges. Resilience is a word that often gets thrown around, but it's a quality I've come to understand deeply through my own experiences. Life is filled with ups and downs, and I've faced my fair share of challenges. There were times when I felt like giving up, but I learned that resilience is not about never falling down. It's about getting back up each time we do. One particular event stands out in my memory. I faced a significant setback in my career that left me feeling disheartened. For a moment, I wallowed in self-pity, questioning my abilities and decisions. But then I realized that this was an opportunity for growth. I took a step back, assessed what went wrong, and identified the lessons I could learn from the experience. This process of reflection became a crucial part of my resilience-building journey. I also found that surrounding myself with supportive people made a difference in my ability to bounce back. Friends and family who encouraged me during tough times became my pillars of strength. Their belief in me helped reignite my own belief in myself. I've learned that resilience isn't just an individual trait, it can be a collective effort. Another aspect of resilience I've embraced is the notion of adaptability. Life doesn't always go according to plan, and I've learned to be flexible in my approach. When faced with unexpected challenges, I've trained myself to pivot and explore alternative paths. This adaptability not only helps me handle setbacks but also opens up new opportunities one might not have considered otherwise. Through these experiences, I've discovered that resilience is a muscle that we can strengthen over time. Each challenge I face adds to my toolkit of coping strategies. I write down my experiences, reflecting on what I learned and how I can apply those lessons in the future. This practice has turned my challenges into stepping stones rather than stumbling blocks, and I believe that resilience will continue to serve me well throughout my life. The relationship between attitude and results. It's incredible how much our attitude can shape the outcomes we experience in life. I've come to realize that a positive attitude can make all the difference, not just in how I feel but in the results I achieve. When I approach situations with optimism and an open mind, I'm more likely to find solutions and create positive experiences. For instance, I used to dread Monday mornings, viewing them as a necessary evil. But when I shifted my attitude and started seeing Mondays as a fresh start, everything changed. Instead of feeling weighed down by the week ahead, I began to view it as an opportunity to set new goals and tackle challenges. This simple shift in perspective transformed my productivity and overall satisfaction with work. Moreover, I've noticed that my attitude affects those around me. When I bring positivity into interactions, it often encourages others to do the same. I've seen how a positive attitude can be contagious, creating a ripple effect that enhances teamwork and collaboration. It's amazing how a simple smile or encouraging word can uplift a group and lead to better results collectively. Conversely, I've experienced the impact of a negative attitude firsthand. In moments of frustration, I've let cynicism cloud my judgment. I realized that when I approach tasks with a negative mindset, I'm likely to overlook potential solutions and opportunities. This awareness has prompted me to be more mindful of my thoughts and attitudes, especially during challenging times. Ultimately, I've learned that my attitude is a choice. I can choose to approach life with positivity and gratitude, regardless of circumstances. This choice not only enhances my experiences but also influences the outcomes I achieve. I'm committed to nurturing a positive attitude, knowing that it's a powerful tool in shaping my reality and achieving my goals. The role of forgiveness. Forgiveness is a powerful tool that often gets overlooked in the journey of personal growth. When I think about forgiveness, I realize how crucial it is to free ourselves from the chains of past grievances. Holding on to resentment is like carrying a heavy backpack filled with stones. It weighs you down and keeps you from moving forward. I've learned that forgiving myself and others isn't about condoning wrong actions. It's about liberating my mind and spirit. It's a conscious decision to release the emotional burden, allowing space for healing and growth. Forgiving myself has been one of the most challenging yet rewarding parts of my journey. I often found myself stuck in a loop of self-blame, replaying mistakes like a broken record. It wasn't until I recognized that everyone makes errors, and those errors do not define my worth, that I started to let go. I learned to treat myself with the same compassion I would offer a friend in a similar situation. The moment I embraced self-forgiveness, I felt lighter and more capable of moving forward. Forgiveness also extends to how we view others. Holding on to grudges can cloud our judgment and prevent us from seeing the full picture. I remember a specific incident where I felt wronged by a colleague. Instead of confronting the issue or letting it go, I let it fester, which only made my work life more difficult. When I finally decided to forgive, it wasn't about excusing their behavior but rather about reclaiming my peace. It's astonishing how much energy we waste on negative feelings that could be redirected toward something constructive. In the context of personal responsibility, forgiveness plays a vital role. It teaches us that while we can't control what others do, we can control our reactions and feelings. By choosing to forgive, I take responsibility for my emotional well-being rather than letting past wrongs dictate my present. This shift in mindset empowers me to be proactive in my life instead of a passive victim of circumstances. Lastly, the journey of forgiveness is ongoing. It's not a one-time act but rather a continuous process that requires reflection and commitment. I've found that the more I practice forgiveness, of myself and others, the easier it becomes to release negative emotions. This newfound freedom allows me to focus on my personal growth and the relationships that truly matter in my life. Assertive communication. Assertive communication is a skill that has transformed my interactions and relationships. When I started to express my feelings and needs more openly, I noticed a significant shift in how others responded to me. Assertiveness is not about being aggressive or domineering. It's about being clear and respectful. I learned that when I assertively communicate, I'm not only advocating for myself but also setting the stage for healthier interactions with others. One of the key aspects of assertive communication is being aware of my feelings and needs. Initially, I found it challenging to articulate what I wanted or how I felt. However, as I practiced, I became more in tune with my emotions. This self-awareness allowed me to express myself without hesitation, which fostered a sense of authenticity in my relationships. When I communicate clearly, I invite others to engage with me on a deeper level, creating an environment of trust. Another significant benefit of assertive communication is its impact on conflict resolution. I used to avoid confrontations out of fear of escalating tensions. However, I discovered that addressing issues directly and respectfully often leads to more constructive outcomes. For instance, during a disagreement with a friend, I chose to express my feelings rather than bottling them up. This openness not only resolved the conflict but also strengthened our friendship. It became evident to me that addressing issues head-on can prevent misunderstandings and foster deeper connections. Moreover, assertive communication empowers others as well. By expressing my needs and boundaries, I encourage those around me to do the same. It creates a ripple effect where everyone feels more comfortable sharing their thoughts and feelings. I've noticed that when I model assertiveness, it inspires others to communicate more openly, which enhances the overall dynamics of our relationships. Finally, mastering assertive communication is an ongoing journey. It takes practice and patience, especially in emotionally charged situations. I've learned to approach each interaction with intention, reminding myself that my voice matters. As I continue to refine this skill, I find that I'm not only advocating for myself but also contributing to a culture of respect and understanding in my interactions. Self-discipline and self-control. Self-discipline and self-control are cornerstones of a responsible life. When I think about my goals and aspirations, the first thing that comes to mind is the necessity of discipline. It's easy to dream big, but without self-discipline, those dreams often remain just that, dreams. I discovered that cultivating discipline requires a conscious effort and a willingness to prioritize long-term gains over immediate gratification. In my journey, I faced countless temptations that threatened to derail my progress. Whether it was procrastination or the allure of distractions, I realized that self-control is the antidote to these challenges. I started setting clear boundaries for myself, like allocating specific times for work and leisure. This structure helped me resist the urge to indulge in distractions, allowing me to focus on what truly matters. The more I practiced self-discipline, the more I felt in control of my life. Additionally, self-discipline has a ripple effect on other areas of my life. For example, when I committed to a regular exercise routine, it transformed not just my physical health but also my mental resilience. Each workout became a testament to my ability to push through discomfort and stay committed to my goals. This sense of achievement reinforced my belief in my capabilities, motivating me to tackle other challenges with the same level of determination. Another essential aspect of self-discipline is accountability. I learned that sharing my goals with someone else, be it a friend or a mentor, creates a sense of obligation. When I know someone is rooting for me, I'm more likely to stay committed to my objectives. This accountability has been a game changer, as it encourages me to maintain my focus and resist the temptation to give up when the going gets tough. Ultimately, the journey towards self-discipline and self-control is not always linear. There are days when I falter, and that's part of the process. However, I've learned to approach setbacks with compassion rather than self-criticism. Each stumble is an opportunity for growth, a lesson that contributes to my overall development. As I continue to hone my self-discipline, I find that I'm not just building a responsible life but also paving the way for a more fulfilling future. The influence of interpersonal relationships. Interpersonal relationships play a significant role in shaping our mindset and behaviors. I've come to realize that the people I surround myself with can either uplift me or hold me back. Reflecting on my friendships and professional connections, I noticed how certain relationships reinforced a victim mentality while others inspired growth and resilience. This awareness prompted me to evaluate the dynamics of my relationships more critically. I recall a time when I was entrenched in a group of friends who often complained about their circumstances without taking action. While I enjoyed their company, I noticed that their negativity began to seep into my own outlook. I found myself adopting a similar mindset, feeling helpless about my situation. It was a wake-up call for me. I understood that I needed to distance myself from relationships that perpetuated a victim mentality. Surrounding myself with individuals who encouraged proactive thinking and personal responsibility has made a world of difference. Conversely, I've been fortunate to cultivate relationships with individuals who embody resilience and positivity. These are the friends who celebrate my successes, provide constructive feedback, and challenge me to step out of my comfort zone. Engaging with them has inspired me to adopt a growth mindset and view challenges as opportunities. Their influence has taught me the value of accountability and mutual support, reinforcing the idea that we rise together. Moreover, the way I communicate in my relationships also affects how I perceive myself. I've learned that assertive and open communication fosters healthier dynamics. When I express my thoughts and feelings honestly, I create an environment where others feel safe to do the same. This mutual exchange not only strengthens our bonds but also reinforces my sense of agency in my life. It's empowering to know that I can advocate for myself while also encouraging others to do the same. Ultimately, the influence of interpersonal relationships is a double-edged sword. While they can uplift us, they can also challenge our self-perception and mindset. I've learned to be intentional about the relationships I nurture, recognizing that my environment significantly impacts my journey toward personal growth. By surrounding myself with individuals who inspire me, I've created a support system that propels me forward rather than holding me back. Goal setting and planning. Setting goals and creating a plan to achieve them is a fundamental part of taking responsibility for my life. In my early years, I often drifted without a clear direction, allowing circumstances to dictate my path. However, once I started to establish specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound, SMART goals, I noticed a profound shift in my focus and motivation. Goals provide me with a roadmap, guiding my actions and decisions toward a desired outcome. One of the first steps in my goal-setting journey was identifying what truly mattered to me. I took time to reflect on my values, passions, and aspirations. This self-discovery process helped me set goals that resonated with my authentic self, rather than simply following societal expectations. When my goals aligned with my core values, I felt a renewed sense of purpose that fueled my commitment to achieve them. Planning is equally important in the goal-setting process. I realized that having a well-structured plan breaks down larger goals into manageable steps. For instance, when I aimed to improve my physical fitness, I didn't just set a vague goal to get fit. Instead, I outlined specific actions such as exercising 3 times a week and tracking my progress. This level of detail made the goal feel achievable and allowed me to celebrate small victories along. As we wrap this up, I want you to take a moment and reflect on something crucial. Every challenge you've faced, every setback has shaped you. But remember, it's not about what happens to you, it's about how you respond. Are you ready to take the reins of your life? Imagine waking up every day knowing that your choices define your path. You hold the power to change your story. So ask yourself, what small action can you take today to shift from victimhood to empowerment? Think about it. Is it reaching out for help? Setting a new goal? Or maybe it's about changing your perspective. Each choice is a step towards taking responsibility for your life. And here's a thought. What if the next time you feel overwhelmed, you pause and ask, what can I learn from this? Instead of feeling trapped, you could feel liberated. As we move forward, I challenge you to embrace this mindset. Share your insights in the comments. How are you taking responsibility in your own life? Let's build a community where we uplift each other, because when one of us rises, we all do. So, let's keep this conversation going.